International borders separate nations from each other. Some are natural, such as oceans, estuaries, and rivers, while others may be geometric or strictly political. But which borders on Earth are the strangest? Let's explore some of them. The history of international borders is a complex tapestry shaped by centuries of wars, treaties, colonization, and diplomacy. Ancient civilizations often demarcated their territories with natural barriers like rivers and mountains. As empires expanded, borders shifted dramatically through conquest and alliances. The Treaty of Westphalia in 1648 marked the beginning of the modern state system, emphasizing sovereign boundaries. Colonial powers in the 19th and 20th centuries arbitrarily divided regions, particularly in Africa and the Middle East, often disregarding ethnic and cultural lines. Post-World War II decolonization led to the emergence of new nations and redrawn borders. Today, international borders continue to evolve, influenced by geopolitical changes, conflicts, and global cooperation. But around the world, there are many weird and downright bizarre borders. Why are these borders the way they are? Well, in this week's episode, we are going to discuss that. Before we begin, if you enjoy learning about geography and earth science, you found the right channel. So be sure to subscribe to my channel, Our World, Our Planet, Our Home. Let's get started. The first area of focus is on the continent of Europe, where the Treaty of Westphalia created the modern frameworks of sovereignty. On the border between Belgium and the Netherlands lies the village of Baarle. The Belgian side is known as Baarle-Hertog, while the Dutch side is known as Baarle-Nassau. The intricacies of the border date back nearly 1,000 years to the medieval times when land swaps, agreements, and treaties were negotiated. The border is a complex web of enclaves and exclaves, with Belgian territories completely surrounded by Dutch territories and vice versa. This peculiar arrangement means that the border zigzags through streets, homes, and even individual buildings. In some cases, a house can have its front door in the Netherlands and its back door in Belgium, or vice versa. The boundaries are marked with white crosses and plaques on the ground, and the nationality of the house is determined by the location of its front door. The unique setup requires cooperation between the two countries for municipal services and law enforcement, and has become a curious tourist attraction due to its unusual and convoluted nature. Busingen is a unique German exclave entirely surrounded by Switzerland. The community status as an exclave dates back to a series of historical treaties and territorial exchanges. The town remained part of Germany after the Treaty of Versailles and subsequent agreements between Germany and Switzerland in the early 20th century. The town covers an area of around 5 square miles and has a population of around 1,500 residents. Despite being a German territory, Busingen is economically integrated with Switzerland. It uses the Swiss franc alongside the euro, and many of its residents work and trade within Switzerland. Additionally, it has a Swiss postal code, and the local telephone network is Swiss. Today, residents benefit from cross-border cooperation in areas such as healthcare, education, and transportation, although they must navigate the complexities of living under two different legal and administrative systems. Vatican City, officially known as Vatican City State, is the world's smallest independent state, both by area and population. Enclaved within Rome, Italy, it spans approximately 110 acres and has around 800 residents. Vatican City serves as a spiritual and administrative heart of the Roman Catholic Church. There are specific entrances and exits to Vatican City. The most well-known entrances are near St. Peter's Basilica, the Vatican Museums, and the official entrances for vehicles and personnel such as the Arch of the Bells and the Santa Ana Gate. The Swiss Guard and the Gendarmerie Corps of Vatican City State are responsible for the security of the borders. These forces control access points and ensure the safety and sovereignty of the city-state. The clearly defined and secure borders of Vatican City make it a unique political and religious entity distinct from the surrounding city of Rome while being entirely enclosed within it. On to Asia, one border is situated on the highest elevation in the world. The border between China and Nepal runs through the summit of Mount Everest, the world's highest peak, at an elevation of 29,032 feet. The most significant agreement was the Sino-Nepalese Treaty of Peace and Friendship in 1960, which helped to formally establish the boundary lines, including those on Mount Everest. Each country manages its respective side of the mountain. Nepal administers the southern base camp and climate permits from Kathmandu, while China handles the northern base camp and permits from Lhasa. Climbers need to obtain permits from the relevant authorities depending on which route they choose to ascend. Despite occasional tensions, both countries have generally maintained a stable and cooperative relationship concerning the management of Everest and its climbing activities. The African continent has several weird borders, but one that stands out is in the nation of Namibia, known as the Caprivi Strip. This strip is a narrow, protruding extension of Namibia that stretches approximately 280 miles eastwards of the main part of the country. It is bounded by Angola to the north, Botswana to the south, and Zambia and Zimbabwe to the east, forming a distinctive panhandle shape. The Caprivi Strip was created as a result of the Heligoland-Zanzibar Treaty of 1890 between the German Empire and the British Empire. The strip was intended to provide Germany with access to the Zambezi River, though it proved impractical for navigation due to the presence of Victoria Falls further downstream. Despite this, the strip holds strategic importance as it connects Namibia to 4 other countries and provides a route for wildlife migration between several major conservation areas. In South America, one part of the Peru-Bolivia border is split at the world's highest lake, Lake Titicaca. This lake is the highest lake in elevation at around 12,500 feet. Also, the lake can be navigated so boats can make their trek through it. Lake Titicaca holds great historical and cultural importance for both Peru and Bolivia. It is considered a sacred place by the indigenous peoples, including the Aymara and Quechua. According to local legend, the lake is the birthplace of the Inca civilization. The Incas believed that the first Inca king, Manco Capac, and his sister wife, Mama Aclo, emerged from the lake. North America has some really unusual borders, especially between the United States and Canada. One particular one is between Vermont and Quebec. The town of Derbyline, Vermont, and its Canadian counterpart, Stansted, Quebec, shares one of the most unique and unusual international borders between the United States and Canada. The town of Derbyline was established in the early 19th century, long before the international border was definitively marked. As a result, the boundary line runs through the middle of the town, dividing streets, buildings, and even individual houses. One of the most famous landmarks on the border is the Haskell Free Library and Opera House, which was deliberately built straddling the international boundary. The entrance is in the United States, while the bulk of the library and opera house stage are in Canada. A black line runs through the building to mark the border, and visitors can technically stand in 2 countries at once. In recent years, increased security measures have been implemented, especially after the events of September 11th. This has included more stringent monitoring of cross-border movement and the installation of surveillance cameras. Although the U.S. has major borders with Canada and Mexico, most people forget the maritime border that the nation has with Russia, straddling the Bering Strait between Alaska and Far East Russia. One unique area stands out here, known as the Diomede Islands. There are 2 islands, Big Diomede Island, which belongs to Russia, and Little Diomede Island, which belongs to the United States. The distance between the 2 islands is about 2.4 miles, with the international dateline passing between them. This means that despite their close proximity, there is a 21-hour difference between them. Big Diomede Island has no permanent residents, with only a weather station and Russian border patrols situated there. But Little Diomede Island has habitation, with 77 residents living there, exclusively Alaskan Native Americans. Historically, the islands are part of the same cultural region, inhabited by the Inupiat and Chukchi people who traveled freely between the islands. During the Cold War, the islands symbolized the division between the U.S. and Soviet Union. They were sometimes referred to as the Ice Curtain due to their strict separation enforced between the two. The Diomede Islands' proximity yet stark separation highlights the complex geopolitical relationship between the United States and Russia, while also highlighting the resilience and adaptation of the indigenous peoples living within this remote area. The last border of discussion is one of the most unusual ones in the world, situated at the United States and Canada border. The northwest angle is a small, isolated exclave of the United States located in northern Minnesota, bordered by Canada. It is the northernmost point of the contiguous United States. The northwest angle's unique position makes it an interesting geopolitical irregularity. It is the only part of the contiguous United States that lies north of the 49 parallel, which is typically used to define the US-Canadian border in the west. The area is remote and challenging to access from the rest of the United States. The primary means of access are by boat, across the Lake of the Woods, by ice road in the winter, or by driving through Canada. There is a small border crossing at Jim's Corner where travelers can use a remote video phone to report to US or Canadian customs. The angle has a small year-round population primarily engaged in tourism, fishing, and outdoor recreational activities. The population fluctuates with the seasons, increasing in the summer months due to tourism. Due to its isolated location, border control measures in the northwest angle are less stringent than at major border crossings. Residents and visitors must report their crossings, but the process is relatively straightforward. Worldwide, international borders represent sovereignty, independence, and protection. As long as humans are on Earth, nations will continue to have borders, with some being unusual and bizarre. That concludes this week's episode. Thank you so much for watching. Please feel free to leave your feedback in the comment section below. And remember, if you enjoy geography and earth science, subscribe to my channel, Our World, Our Planet, Our Home. Until next time.